dinosaurs, a few prize ones there. This guy's a fairly new guy. He's kind of, I think, supposed to be like the new Spinosaur. There's a carnivore kin to the, what is he? Tyrannosaurus Rex. But I think he's even supposed to be bigger or something. He's got a sail fin back or something. This guy's kind of a prize here. I found him at a Toys R Us or KB Toys, one of those toy shops that was getting ready to go out of business, or claiming they were. And he was marked down, I don't know, $1 or something. And I think he's supposed to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex. He's got the small arms in the front, certainly. But he's got one of the odder shaped heads. Although I think that may be relatively current. I think the wisdom is that the heads were narrower than maybe some first supposed. That made it easier for them to get inside of carcasses as they were eating. Another Tyrannosaurus Rex, more of the standard head model, head shape that you see, big kind of mouth. I'm not holding it very well. And he's probably a little bit more narrow than some of the earlier ideals. One thing weird about him is he's got gigantic feet. I don't think the feet are quite in proportion. But the little arms are probably about right. The feet do help him stand up better. He balances pretty well when you just let him stand there. This guy is probably real rare. He's in, that's the Marx plastic figure. I believe a reprint, reissue, but it's the same general shape that this guy, I think, may have been more the original model. Came from Chapel Hill Planetarium. It's a hollow plastic figure. I guess he's what, about 8 inches high, 6 inches? No, he's close to 8, I believe. Give or take a few inches. And missing the last segment of his tail, too bad. He's seen better days too, but most of the rest of them, other than the tail, is intact. I like the head on this particular one, but it's just before they went with the real narrow heads, so he's not quite in the modern view of what they look like. Also, the tail is more down, supporting him rather than outward, like they now believe. They walk around like birds with the tails more elevated. But he's a pretty neat one. He's an old one. It's one of my oldest ones. He's probably 40 years or older. And this is basically the Marx plastic Tyrannosaurus Rex. Probably a 1970, 1980 reissue. But they had this guy way back in the 60s when I was growing up. So he's a pretty cool one. And then this is a fairly modern one. They've got the ones that they try to be more realistic, and they're like the Marx toy company, plastic ones, try to be more realistic, and then the museum models like the one from Chapel Hill Planetarium. And then they've got the ones that try to be a little more sensational. This is one of the ones that's a little more sensational. Although what's fun about them is sometimes they end up being about as realistic as the others. And they introduce different poses. You can imagine the same dinosaur doing different things. And sometimes they introduce different dinosaurs. You'll see a certain dinosaur only released by a certain company sometimes, and you can't find them anywhere else. I can't get that one to stand anymore. Oh, a little green guy back there. I believe that might be the Toy Story one, or similar to him. He's got a motion mouth. Has the nice small arms he's supposed to have as a Tyrannosaurus Rex, T-Rex. A little bit of a shortened tail there. But he's a little bit exaggerated anyway. That's why I was wondering if he went in the Toy Story one. But I don't think he's got the right head. Not quite the right head. He is the right general color of green. So I'm not saying he's not the Toy Story one. But. And then back there we've got a Triceratops. And we've got the Mastodon, I believe, from one of the Ice Age movies. Or wait a minute, no. That might be from Jungle Book. I believe this might be the Mastodon from the Ice Age. And then we've got a couple of Ankylosaurs. A couple of Dimetrodons with the sail backs. We've got a Pteranodon. It's got the little pointy head. Pointed notch on his head. I don't believe the Pteranodon or the pterosaurs are considered true dinosaurs, but I may be wrong there. That might have changed. They're now considering birds to be the living relatives of dinosaurs, so I don't know where the pterosaurs fit into the picture there. And this is one of the raptors. I'm not sure whether he's a Velociraptor or Deinonychus or one of those, but he's got the claw foot. And he's a fairly slim, small predator, although it's a larger size model. He would be small compared to the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And I believe it's theorized that they hunted in packs similar to wolves. And you can see he's only $1. A lot of these are only $1. Now this is another one of the ones that's a museum piece. Not particularly fragile. I'm holding him like he is. That's the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and that has more the true modern idea of how thin and narrow his mouth and head might have been as compared to side views. He was big and massive, but they're saying, I believe, that they believe his head was more narrow. And maybe taking that from the crocodile, saying that he was more like a crocodile in the way his mouth worked. But you can see this is a more modern interpretation where his tail is more out and up, held up like a bird's. And then, I don't know if you can see him, behind him is a Styracosaur, who is very much akin to the Triceratops. But instead of just 3 horns, he generally had 1 horn on his nose, and then on his crest, his shield, he had spikes or horns. And that might be another Styracosaur behind him there. These guys are so jumbled up here, it's hard to see one from the other. That's another Velociraptor like this guy. Slightly different figure. A couple of Stegosaurs there. You can see their plates. I know it's not good light, fellas, ladies and germs. I'll try to do a video of more of my dinosaurs later when I can get them out better and put more light on them. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, just to give you an idea of how many there really are. This is probably not even 1/10 of the collection. That's the Brachiosaur, one of the ones that was real long-necked. And there's a similar one. He's probably a Diplodocus though, or Diplodocus, I don't know the emphasis there, but both sauropods, the long-necked ones. This one also a sauropod. Its neck's curved backwards. Might have been modeled after the Brontosaur, now known as the Apatosaurus. And this is another similar model where the neck is curved backwards, so you don't see that he's got such a long neck. It's not easy to see. But anyway, just one of my other obsessions.